So you pay good money for the Logitech Yoke, got it all connected up to Microsoft Flight Simulator, but there's this mode switch sitting there doing nothing. On the back of your right handle is the mode switch, and you're doing mode 1, 2, and 3, and apparently it does nothing in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and no YouTuber has shown you how to set it up, and I know because I've looked, and I was so frustrated that we had this feature and it wasn't working. But you know what? That's actually a good thing because I went through all the forums and finally figured it out. So this is the video I wish I could have watched 6 weeks ago to help me set up the mode switch. Anyway, by the end of this video, you'll have your mode switch set up to do something useful on your flights. Let's go through the problem. In Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you go into Options and Control Options, now I've got my yoke system set up as default. I'd like you to pick the same ones if you're coming through with me on this, so I don't mess up any of your existing settings. On the left, you've got filters for the controls, and just set it on assigned. Just flick through here and click it on assigned. You can click expand to see what's going on. You can see here on the first item, you've got toggle smart camera E. Now the E is actually this button on the back of your left handle here, like so. And if you click it, you see it on the screen flash highlighting the E. So that's all connected and working well. So what we're going to try and put the mode switch into here. Okay, so we can click on this and we can start scanning. And you've got mode 1, and you're thinking if I move the switch 1, 2, and 3, it'll pick up, but it doesn't. That's a disappointment. So let's try select the input instead. And if you scroll down, you see 3 modes. So you see that's mode 1, mode 2, mode 3. So I think we're onto something, yeah? This could work because obviously it's been programmed into Microsoft Flight Simulator. So it's got to work, right? Click the mode and click validate. And because we're changing the default, it wants us to put us a new name. So go back. And I'm going to just type in Cessna 152 because we'll be setting up the plane later. Press OK. So we've got mode, and you're thinking this is going to work because it's in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Do you try mode 1, 2, and 3, and it doesn't work? What I found out after a lot of digging, and I mean a lot of digging, that you actually need to install the Logitech Yoke drivers. So switching over to your browser, search for Logitech Yoke drivers, and it'll bring up this page, and look for Downloads Flight Yoke System. Click on that. You'll come to this page, and this is software version 8.0.213.0, and last updated 2021 July. So that was after Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, so that's good. Software types 32 bits and 64 bits. I'm gonna choose 64-bit because that's my Windows system. Click download now. I just put mine into downloads, press save. And I'm just going to run that by clicking here. That will install. Press yes. And a setup message. So help Logitech improve its products and services automatically. I'm just click untick that, and I'm going to tick accept and go next. And that's busy installing. And click finish. And you think, Yeah. Now what? Rather than the little program telling you what's going on, it's blank. Anyway, before we get to that, there's a profiles pack here, and that was last updated 2017. So that's only for the previous version of Microsoft Flight Simulator FSX. So don't bother downloading that. Now, going back to what's happened, if you look in your system tray, bottom right, you see a little yoke, which is you'll double click that, and you'll get the Flight Yoke system software. Now, this piece of software converts your switches into keystrokes, which it then sends to Windows. I've got a tiny bit of programming, really, really simple. I'll talk you all the way through. Click that. And this program understands modes. So have a look at that. Mode 1. Mode 1. I change it to Mode 2 as Mode 2 and Mode 3. So this understands modes. Let's go to 2. Let's do something useful with this. I'm going to program in changing COM1 frequencies. So let's scroll down to the hat switch and POV here. And there's a tiny little arrow here. You can click that to show its menu, or just place your arrow in the middle and bring up the menu. So tick 4-way switch, because there's only 4 hardware switches in the hat switch. Click buttons, and now bring up all the buttons. So click in the center here until you get a flashing cursor there. It may be a bit hard to see, but it's there. And tap it in Control Num 8. And that's what you want. And then you want to tick the little tick here to accept it, because if you press enter, enter will pop up. And you try the backspace, delete it, backspace will pop up. If you make a mistake, just press across and you're good. Back where you are. So click there, Control Num 8, click the tick, and then you need to label this. So let's put it increase COM1 frequency. Press enter to accept. Very good. And the down arrow, we're going to do Control Num 2 and tick that. And that's decrease COM1. Oh, give me a space. COM1 frequency. Okay, press enter. Okay, now let's save what we've done. So the profile at the moment is untitled. Click the icon there to save. And it brings up this directory. So it'd be users, public documents, Logitech Flight Yoke system. And this is where it always loads and saves from. I'm just going to call this Cessna 152. And let's save that. And now it's Cessna 152. And you can load different profiles by having that one over there open. Okay, so there's your Cessna 152, and you can rename that anything in here, or you use your file explorer and get to this directory and can do stuff in there. Cancel. Now, what has also happened is in here on the system tray, you've got your yoke icon that's gone green saying it's active, as active with Cessna 152. You can actually clear it, so there's no conversion of button strokes to keystrokes, or you can right click, select Cessna 152, and that's selected. Going through the other buttons, there's a profile button which activates the current profile you got loaded. There's a cogwheel here to test your profile. In mode 2, you see control num 8 pop up with very light grey, control num 8 as the release. So and num 2, press down and release. And if we actually do mode 1, that doesn't come up. So that is as expected. What else? That one you can print out your profiles. You've done open files. That will just set you with a blank profile. So that's the loaded profile. And double check here. Yep, that's green. So once we get into Microsoft Flight Simulator, that should be working. And one more thing before we leave here. If you actually go to that directory where you save the profiles, here we go. Under here, users public documents Logitech Flight Yoke system. What I found out, you can actually have folders in here. So we've got archive. Then we go over here. Right click that. Got archive. So that's quite a neat little trick, I thought. If you right click, if you bring up the yoke, that Cessna 152 is just a name for the yoke system. It's got nothing to do with the profile names within Microsoft Flight Simulator. So let's flip over to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Go to keyboard and let's search for COM1F. And we've got increased COM1 frequency. Let's click that and do the start scanning and do control num 8. Press validate. And let's tap in a new profile name. And let's go with Cessna 152. And OK. And decrease COM1 frequency, we are going to set as control num 2. Oh, double click that, keep it going. Control num 2 and validate. And apply and save. And that's that part done. Now let's jump into a plane and test this all out. I'm going to the world map and I'm going to select a Cessna 152. I'm going to select departure from Snohomish County, Painfield, because I've been doing some of those flying lessons from Jane and Forda. I would start on a ramp because I have tried starting on the runway, and with the default yoke, sometimes it can be at full throttle and sometimes you just run into stuff and crash. Now, do not hit fly, because if you hit fly, you still start at 34L runway. You need to set departure. I've done this a few times too. So set departure. Now click fly. So Snohomish County, ready to fly. And you're in the plane. Okay, so we're not going to do the usual startup sequence. We're just going to see if this works. So I'm going to do a right click on the mouse, go down, hit the yoke, make it invisible. And just to check mode 1, the default is to move the pilot position forward and backwards, like so. So let's try switch on the battery. And if I do pilot position, will it go over to this side? So that's more central. And if I flick on to mode 2, I go up arrow, it changes. Down arrow, it changes. Brilliant. Brilliant. So now I've taken you through the whole process of going through the driver program, setting up custom commands, and then setting up matching those custom commands in the keyboard, and seeing it actually work through here. So there's all these other instruments, and I'm going to leave it as an exercise for you to hook them all up. Yeah? Nah. I'll do the rest of the instruments in my next video. Now, some of you aren't going to have this working, and I'm just going to run through a few troubleshooting tips. A common thing is you haven't got the Microsoft Flight Simulator selected as the active window. So if I fire up the driver program, so this is in front and this is active window, and even though Microsoft Flight Simulator in mode 1 picks up the moving backwards and forward pilot position, you think you're there, but then if I go to mode 2, it's not doing it anymore. It's still picking up the pilot position because this is now the active window and that's all the keystrokes are going. Okay, so make sure that the playing Microsoft Flight Simulator is the active window, and you get to change command frequency. The other thing is to make sure your yoke is selected and active. So if you go back here and go to system tray, just make sure that's green, and you got the right profile selected that you programmed in. And if that doesn't work, you can always go back to the program here and click the profile button, and that's always worked for me because I was using this exclusively before I found out there's actually a system tray icon. So there you go. If this has helped you, click on the thumbs up to let me know you liked it. If there's anything you didn't understand or got any questions, leave them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. Since this is my first YouTube video, if you've got any suggestions on how to improve what I've done, then please let me know.